Hi everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply. Today I'm going to show you how to make a few yucca plants, like so. You can use them in N scale or HO. You might just want to twist a little bit more wire for the HO size and use a little bigger grass tufts. But I'll show you how to do that. Let's get started. Well, here's the yuccas that I'm talking about. And they're about the right size for N scale. They could be adapted to HO scale easily. And what we start with is a little bit of floral wire. Green floral wire. And we have some Woodland Scenics fine turf in yellow grass, which I poured into a container here so I can dunk the trunks. We have some white flowering foam, which is also Woodland Scenics, which I keep in this bag. The sill floor tufts, grass tufts. These are summer, I believe. And then I have desert sand, just a craft paint. And I have a little bit of slate gray. And I can mix up the two. I'll show you how to do that when we get on with this. Other than that, that's about all it takes. A small pair of cutters to cut the wire with. So let's get started and make one. Okay, we're going to start by just cutting random lengths of the wire. And it doesn't matter what length because you can cut them later. I prefer to cut them a little bit long so that I can cut off the stalks as need be. So you can see we've gotten about 5 pieces out of this one piece of wire, and I just bend them in half. It doesn't need to be exactly half. I take a pair of pliers and squeeze the end together, and then I hold on to the end with the pliers and I twist it. And I hope you can see this into some kind of shape like that. We're going to twist up a few, bend in half, squeeze it together with the pliers, grab the end, twist, on some of these, some of them have one stalk and some of them have 2. If you want it to have one stalk, you bend it closer to one end and twist it, and then we can cut off the excess or leave it on, whatever you prefer. There's one that I just left all the way together. Bend, crimp, twist. And as you can see, this goes relatively quickly. From this point, pretty easy task. At this point, I take a paintbrush. Mine was sitting in a little water here, so it's a little bit too wet. I take some of the craft paint, squirt out a little bit on a butter dish lid. And my trunk color is going to be the yellowish color. And all I do is take the yellow, and you can either dunk it in there, we'll use a brush, and brush the portion that's going to be the trunk with this desert sand color, or yellowish desert sand color. Then while it's wet, I dunk it in the foam, the yellow grass foam. And I don't bother knocking any off. I just put it down on the bench just like it is. And then you can go to the next one. and dunk it. And I work on a piece of glass, so I don't mind setting them down because I can get anything that sticks off. I wouldn't set it down on paper. If you want to, you can set it down on wax paper. I just prefer to work on a glass top. Dunk. Paint. Dunk. Paint. Dunk. Now you can see that goes pretty quickly, and the reason because it goes quickly, I choose to use a little tiny pair of forceps here that lock, and we'll pick up one of the first ones we did here, and I just grab it by the bottom. This is the part that will be buried in the scenery. And then I take, on some of them, I go ahead and use the same sand color on the stock. And you can go ahead and paint these in advance and let them dry, or I'll show you an alternative method. At this point we can take, and it depends on how neat you want to be about this, we can take our stock here, and I put some super glue right in the V of the two stalks, and then I pull off a couple of tufts of grass, and I'll stick one on the back side of the V and one on the front side of the V. And then once you get them in this configuration, they kind of have a gap, and if you just squeeze them together, they'll stick. A little bit of my super glue ran down on the trunk there, but that's not important. And now you can see that we kind of have the basics of a yucca. Now, if you haven't pre-painted your stalks, you can go back in and run the brush down the stalk carefully. And it's okay if you get some on the ends of the branches. I mean, the yuccas aren't necessarily always totally green. And you can see that we have one stalk sticking out here that's kind of broken. And what I've decided to do, since we're not going to be able to put any flowers on that one, is we're going to give that a gray color, or a dead looking color. A little bit of gray, just to vary it up a little bit. Now we have the wet desert sand color on the stalk, and you just dip it about 1/4 of an inch into the white flower, and it'll stick to that, and you can see that we pretty much have a yucca done. That's how quickly they go. Let me do a couple more here for you and finish these up. Grip it, glue it, put on the tufts, paint the stalks, both sides, by the way. And dip them in the white. And you can see what we come up with. Let that one go. Pick up the next one. glue, tufts, and sometimes you pick up more tufts than you want, but that's okay. Just go ahead and glue them to your stock and pull off what you don't want. And this is a single stock one, and I think we'll do a little bit of variety here and make this one a dead one. So I'm going to get some of my tan paint off, get my gray paint. We're going to paint a dead stock or a gray stock. If you do this, you're not going to need any flowers on it because obviously it's dead, and we're going to put it bent over like it dried out and is bending over, which they commonly do. And that one's done. And the next one. Glue. Tuft. Squeeze the tuft together. I have 2 or 3 tufts that came off with that one. So we're going to pull that one off. Pull some excess off here. These ones we're going to paint a couple of live ones here. It's okay if the gray gets mixed in. They're kind of a grayish brown stock, depending on what time of year it is, whether they're blooming or not blooming. Generally, when they're dying, they're always grayish tan. Okay, painted the stalks. One stalk into the white and the other stalk into the white. And there you have one more to do here out of the 6 that I'd cut out of that one wire. And it's the one that I pre-painted the stalks. Glue. Let's put some big tufts on this one. We'll make this a real bushy one. Since we have a short stalk sticking out, we're going to go back with some gray. Just dab a little bit of gray on there as though it's broken off. Go back to the tan. Go back over our live stock. And we're only going to dip the live stock in the white. And there you have it. Now I'm going to hope that you can see these. You can vary these any way you want. For instance, this one here. This one looks kind of good because it's got a bunch of varying vegetation on it. But like a long stalked one like this, you can always take the stalk and put a couple of bends in it. They grow all different ways. There's one with a little bit of remnants of a dead stalk. These are some that I made the other night. And this one's got a real long stalk. This one's got a dead stalk and a live stalk with some extra foliage growing out. I mean, they come out really randomly. And that's actually the way you want it. And you can see that we can make hundreds of them in a matter of an hour. So they're real easy to make. There's no reason you can't populate your desert with a bunch of them, and they're commonly seen in the Southwest. So I hope you enjoyed the little tutorial. There's really not much to it once I figured out a method, and it seems to work pretty well. Well, everybody, that's it. That's how easy it can be. I struggled with this for quite some time, and all of a sudden it just occurred to me to use 2 tufts, one on each side of a twisted piece of wire, and there you go. You have hundreds of yuccas. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope somebody finds this useful. You guys all take care and come back and see another video.